that there? Does that take me to? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I don't know. All right, I don't understand the live group. I'm just gonna close this down. I don't know what's going on here, or if this is even working. I do not understand live. I don't know. I don't even know if this is working. I don't. I don't know what's going on. I can't get this thing to work. Another. I wish there was some way to know if this thing's working or not. I wish someone could tell me if this is working or if it's on or I I don't know what is. Okay, I don't know if this is on or not, but I'm about to sign off, I think, because I'm trying to figure out the whole Google Live thing. It doesn't appear to be working, but just in case it is and there's somebody there, I'm trying. Yeah, let me see. All right. All right, well. Is there any way to tell if this is on or if this is working? If anybody can see this, can you tell me? Is that possible? I really don't know. But I feel strange just talking to a computer if there's no one there. I don't have any comments. I don't have any. I can't tell. Where is. I can't. I don't have any comments. Hmm. Okay, thanks, but. I can't tell. Hmm. Okay, well, I wish I knew. I wish I knew if I was live. There's nothing. Okay. Okay. The blocks. Hmm. There's like two versions. I think there's an old, the blocks in the top corner. Um, oh my god. Okay. I think I can. Okay. All right. All right. Top corner. Okay. Okay. Here we go. All right. Now I think I think I can. All right. Now I got the blocks. Okay. So now I can see everybody. Okay. Cool. Oh, question mark. You can. Okay. Right when I thought I had it. Sorry. Um. I'm so sorry about this. I should have. I thought I do so many Google Hangouts. I thought that this live broadcast would be no problem, and that's my bad. I should have figured this part. I thought it was just like a Google Hangout, just a typical Google Hangout. So if you can hear me, please accept my apology for the technical. It's a human error, and it's not sure where to go. So I think I am so sorry. I'm going to proceed as if you can hear me and understand me, that you're there. I can't quite tell, but I'm going to go ahead and assume. And hopefully, while I wasn't there, I didn't look too crazy trying to figure this out. And I'm still not sure if I figured it out. So let me see. I'm getting some messages on Twitter. I can keep going. And, yeah. Yeah. Sorry. All right, so I have to go here. How do I do it? There we go. I think. I don't know what to do with this. Man. Okay. Sorry. Now my phone is. Hello. Hey, got it. All right, I had it. Okay. And oh, I'm sorry. I also, I think I just fundamentally also don't understand how the thing works. So it could be, I mean, I don't know if my computer is, okay. Okay, sure. And how do I know? Yeah, and I guess my big thing is how do I know that? I don't know what to do. Like right now, I see a screen. I don't know if it's live or not, but I'm just, okay, so, all right. Oh, now which link? Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. All right, I'll get that. Well, yeah, well, I'm just glad I didn't just start swearing and everything else, because I didn't know. I was like, I could have, if I didn't think I was live, so I can only imagine what I looked like. But yeah, yeah. All right. Uh-huh. All right. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Uh-huh. Okay. So no Q&A. That's all right. I found the Q&A, and then yeah, but there's no place for me to put anything in the queue. Well, now I can, yeah, but there's no place for me to answer or comment or. Oh, there's a chat. All right, there's a chat. Uh-huh. Okay. 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 I think that's it. All right. Okay. And this will open. Should I use that link too, or it doesn't matter? All right. Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Mm. Okay. 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 Now there'll be a way to know, like the 8 view to interact with people from here, right? All right. Yeah. 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 Cause. All right. Okay. Oh, interesting. All right. Okay. Because I don't really have like an hour presentation prepared. It was more of like interacting with the people and some of the yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. All right. Mhm. Yeah, 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 definitely. Okay, yeah, definitely. And if I have some questions, I guess I'll just on Twitter because I'm still looking for where we'll collaborate. But I'll fool around with it. But all right. Okay. All right. Cool. Thanks. Oh, bye.
Share your pics to the folder in the All right. Can you see me okay?
Yeah. So
All right. Perfect. So other people can join in. So if anybody is out there and they see that link in the chat, or if they see it inside of the Q&A, and it's also linked inside of the calendar event. So all of those places, people are able to join in as we go, and you can kind of just run for the time frame that you're looking to run.
Okay.
So let me ask you this, like, where did What If come from?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I get it asked all the time, and I think I used to give a different answer every time, I think. But really, when I was thinking about it, in a lot of ways, I think I track it back to when I was in the Peace Corps, right out of college, or a year after college. I was in the Peace Corps, and I didn't want to be a teacher. Both my parents were public school teachers, and I learned at an early age, don't be a teacher. No, they were great, but it's frustrating, right? I saw the frustrations they went through and everything. But I was like, well, I'm not going to be I'm not going to be a teacher, right? So I majored in English, but I was in the Peace Corps, and my job, or whatever they gave me, was to teach high school. And I had these different classes, and it was interesting because, it was Peace Corps, so resources were limited, but I had these like 3 different classes, and they all suffered from stuff like their days about heat for the school and stuff like that. But each class is different based on kind of like income. Like there was one class with all the wealthy kids, and they had books, and kind of like the other classes, they had like no books, right? But you had to teach the same lessons. And I think that challenge like really kind of informed both my passion for education, but also kind of my insights and ideas, right? And I didn't realize it at the time, but I think that, like, how do you turn problems into opportunities, right? Instead of solving problems, like to truly turn these into like opportunities going forward. And it set me on a path for the next 15 years in education, and then in writing and in education, right? And it's something I never would have ever, anticipated or expected or said I wanted to do. But then I found myself, I was an English professor about 15 years later after the Peace Corps, working with international students. And just getting to know them and listening to their stories and observing like student success, it occurred to me that the one determining factor on student success, both in the classroom but beyond, had very little to do about like of course test scores or where people are from or even intelligence, right? I joke around and say I know a lot of like stupid students who went on to do big things. But the thing is, and I mean that affectionately, because the one determining factor, and I could trace it back all the way to my students in the Peace Corps, was really just curiosity. That if somebody was curious, it would kind of be that fuel to keep them learning and to make sure that they kept going and going and going. And I'm not the fastest learner myself, so it took several years, like almost 15 years of watching this before I realized, like, what if this whole curiosity thing, like what if it's like a natural resource? What if we started treating curiosity as a natural resource, meaning something that's naturally occurring, but we could convert. What if the curiosity thing, like what if it's like a natural resource? What if we started treating curiosity? One, it's something as a natural resource. But also when you start treating curiosity as a natural resource, curiosity thing, like what if it's like a natural resource? Converted into energy, it really shifts the way you think about natural resources. But currently, most natural resources, you own them and they control them. Well, with curiosity, it's something that we all can potentially have or have access to, right? Again, even my stupid students, and I consider myself a stupid student most times, right? But with that curiosity, it can help you overcome these different barriers. So I guess that was kind of that aha moment. One of the many aha moments, and then it became like, well, how can we start? If it's a natural resource, we need processes. We need ways to convert it into the energy, right? So I think, initially the What If conference is where we all started. That was one way of converting this natural resource of curiosity into energy. I think like the book, right? The book of What If is another way to do this. And now that we've started this, we're finding more and more ways to convert this curiosity into an energy. And it's exciting because like everybody has it, so it doesn't matter where you're from, how old you are, how young you are, what religion, what race, any of this stuff, that anybody can tap into it and then have access to the resources they need to be successful.
That's pretty awesome. That's crazy. I think I'm hearing your drive for what you're doing is really driven by the needs of the students as opposed to your desire. It's like, no, they need this. Like it has to be done, which is really cool.
Well, I also see it as a great way to. Sometimes I even like an English guy. I always get caught up in language sometimes, but I even try to break away from even referring to teachers and students kind of stuff. That I see like so much like technology, the same technology I struggle with all the time. It's really changing the way the classroom is, in that we're really not as much teachers and students, but we're just all learners, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting as curiosity is kind of like a safe way, because to some people that's too shocking, right? It's like, oh no, it's like, we need this kind of order. But when you approach it through this curiosity-based learning, it just kind of naturally, it transforms the learning experience into one of facilitation rather than, teacher-student.
Yeah. I noticed Audrey's on here.
Yeah.
Audrey, so I muted you just because we are getting your background sound. So if you want to unmute yourself, oh, there it goes. I think it sounds pretty good now. And Audrey, I'm going to let you kind of join in this conversation. You don't have to have your video on, but if you want to kind of ask questions and collaborate with Matt, we have another Matt here that wants to join in, and I'm going to kind of back up here in a second, let you guys kind of collaborate, and yeah, just talk as long as you like.
And thanks again for walking me through, and apologies.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks.
And not cursing. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Okay, sorry about that. I was on had both channels open, and I couldn't find my window that I had the other one open. So I apologize for the feedback.
Oh, no worries.
So, I applaud you for learning out loud and not losing your cool.
Thanks. Yeah, I wouldn't say that's normal for me, so I had a good morning.
So, anyway, I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, well, I'm just really passionate about getting more and more people using curiosity as a learning tool, as an entry point to lessons, and as a way to engage students, to get more student voices and ideas into the learning process. So yeah, and I'm just kind of curious to hear what other people are curious about. So I was explaining earlier, and I was kind of babbling quite a bit, but just kind of the idea of curiosity on how I came to see it as this natural resource, right? But if you work with kids long enough, you see them, with these all these questions, and you can see if you feed that, they keep asking those questions, which leads to further learning.
So, what grade level do you teach?
Oh, I've taught over 15 years. I've taught everything from preschool up to college level. Probably the most at college, but I've taught high school for about 2 years, and grade school, middle school for about 3 years as well.
What if we made a paint that was so special?
And yourself? What grade?
I have taught every grade level from preschool through 12, and done some guest lecturing at the college level myself.
Nice. Very good. Very good.
However, I do have a question that I'm hoping others will help with. And that is, in this great world of test, everything's about the test.
Uh-huh.
How do we feed that curiosity, and how do we feed that curiosity when we have to be so test driven?
Yeah. Now it can be easier said than done, right? But my approach is the tests are there, but to keep teaching to keep teaching to the students' passions, right? If I've seen students, when you start from what they're passionate about and what they're curious about, right? When you can use that as a starting point for whatever lessons you're required or need to teach them, I think you can accomplish both, right? You can accomplish whatever needs to be on the test, but I find some of the approach to doing that is kind of flipping it. Instead of, I think sometimes a lot of times educators can get caught up and say, oh no, we've got to teach X, Y, Z on the test, right? So when designing lessons or engaging their learners, they'll start with X, Y, and Z, right? But I understand why, because it's like, this is what's going to be on the test, and they kind of design their lessons from that endpoint, that test point, and then to whatever activities and lessons they do, right? And I don't know, I think maybe if we kind of flip that process in how we design our lessons or how we design our learning experiences, that could be helpful. So kind of start out, that's what I mean by starting out what they're curious about. So like, all right, you got to take the test, all right? But before we get there, if you can start out really finding what makes each student tick, like what are they curious about, what are they passionate about, and use that as the point for them to keep learning. And then as they're learning based on their curiosity and passion, you can kind of guide them along that learning process so you're hitting what needs to be on the test, right? And again, it's not like an overnight, like it's easier said than done, right? But I think that's one of the first steps is when designing and considering how we design our lessons, to really flip the way that we do it.
I think I'm on that path. I'm just looking for reassurance from other educators.
Well, and that's a great question.
On that same path.
And I'm curious what others would say as well. If others have ideas on how to teach to the test, but keep the curiosity going in class. If others have ideas or experiences. What are some of the ways that you engage or you use curiosity in your classrooms right now? Do you have any that?
Presently, I'm teaching second grade.
Mm-hmm.
And last year, I've always been interested in digital storytelling.
Nice.
And so I really want to incorporate that. I really just truly dove into that last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to do more with that.
Nice.
But what I have found is that the kids really engage with that. Mm-hmm. They want to tell their stories. They want to interview each other. And so right now that's kind of where I'm focusing my energy.
Yeah. But storytelling is really powerful too, right? Just as far as a way to it's the original education system. If you go back to the earliest humans, that's how they taught, is through stories. So being able to engage or encourage students to I was going to say not just to learn but express their learning in stories, it makes a lot of sense. Any other ideas? I want to be careful. I don't want to hog all of the talking time because I'm really curious on what other people do. It's been a while since I've been in the classroom, so I'm always curious what people are currently doing in the classroom, or what ways they're using curiosity or question models.
Well, I like to do mini challenges a lot of the time in the beginning, and just give them kind of, okay, here, how would you go about it, and not necessarily about the outcome, but mainly about how are they learning or how are they discovering, to do, what is their problem solving? Because if I can learn how they learn, then I can evolve lessons in the future ways around that. So if I know that, hey, they're very visual, they go about the problem by looking at the end first and then they kind of go backwards, then I can do like a backwards by design type of deal where we're looking at the end product and then have them question themselves a little bit more, and then also post a link to that and have them be able to audio record their learning. And so I kind of have them record in a group and see how student roles play out, because that's kind of how I feel how it's going to be like in the future, where they're not going to be solely themselves. They have to work with other people, and a lot of times when you give people devices, parents think, oh, they're going to be isolated and they're not going to talk, because that's typically what they do at home, where they just go on Minecraft or whatever they do, and they're not talking to other people unless, especially when they're younger, like elementary, they're not using headsets a lot and talking, virtually with people as they do like on Xbox and things like that when they get up to the older ages. So I try to get them talking as much, especially with our secondary language people, that are English second language. I want to get them talking as much as possible. And by me stepping away and putting them in small groups, I think they're a little bit more open, because they're only talking to those few people and not like a whole audience where they'd be intimidated or hesitant. So I try to give them freedom, but again, I have to abide by what the district wants and the school wants, and definitely a balance of saying, okay, well, how can you measure problem-solving skills on a test, because we don't test for problem solving. However, if we can teach them how to approach a problem, they can, in turn, get better scores. But again, it's hard to push everyone else when a lot of the districts and admin and powers that be want us to teach for the test or teach this type of problem. And, so it's a hard balance, but I don't know. Trying to build, better citizens for the future, and that's all I can do,
Yeah, I'm curious about something because, again, it's been a while since I've been in the classroom, and especially I know that the whole standards and the teaching to the test thing, it only it only gets worse as time goes by, right? But I'm also curious, to what degree are teachers or educators, either yourself or people you know, to what degree are you transparent with your students? And this may, differ among age, grades and stuff, but and transparent in the sense that, hey, look, the goal of, what we have to do together at this year is make sure that as many people, everybody in this classroom can do X, Y, and Z, like so that they know what they're being taught to, right? And there's a couple reasons I'm asking. I'm not saying whether I think it's a good idea or bad idea. I'm just kind of curious to what degree students know about these standards. Because the more and more I work with teachers and educators, I keep hearing about these all the time. I just don't. What degree do students know about them?
Right. I think in the beginning, I don't see it very much, but I do see it after we start with benchmarking and start taking actual assessments. I see that a lot with even starting as low as third grade. They're after they take a benchmark, they're basically given a goal sheet and saying, these are the things that we're trying to do at the end of the year, and this is how many that problem you got wrong, and this is how much would be passing. Even if passing is 54% or whatever the passing rate is, they're saying this is how many you have, this is the goal. Out of the 8 questions, you got 4 right. So, and at the bottom of the sheet, basically, is something where they can write down their goals for between now and the next assessment type of thing. What am I going to try to work on, and how am I going to try to do it? Just to give them the realization of, at least for that moment, what is their goal from now to 2 weeks from now. Now, do they go home and actually apply it? That's to be said. Or do they have a discussion with their parents? Probably less than we would want, probably. But at least at that point in time, they have something, and then they have something to communicate with their parents about.
In our district, we have to tell the students what it is that they're supposed to be learning.
In what fashion do you have, like a sheet, or do you verbally, or is it a parent conference? What do you guys do?
We state it, and then we post it on the board, and that's at all grade levels.
So for the whole year, you guys posted everything that you need to be done by a certain point, or is it?
No, for example, this week, I might say that we're studying verb forms or something like that, and so we would have the objective, and then we would have some kind of an I can statement. I can identify,
right,
the verb in the sentence or something like that. And
yeah,
then
we do that too, where we have a daily objective and then kind of like a unit objective. But as far as individualizing, we do it from benchmark to benchmark.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of opportunity for kind of like a gamification of this process for the students. I'm just trying to think if there's a way that, like, if they're aware of what that endpoint is, and you start together, if everybody knows like where the, if you will, the game begins and ends, and it begins with curiosity, but it ends at that, those clearly defined points that are going to be, they're going to be assessed on. There's a lot of ways, I think, that you can get there using the curiosity. It's and also I think that's one of the real benefits of technology, is that we can move away from, now I gotta be careful saying this because I write books, right? I like books, I like textbooks, I like things that you can hold in your hand, right? But the idea of necessarily a common textbook where everybody turn to page 63 today and let's read the same thing, we no longer have to do that. That we can teach the same lesson, but everybody, through technology, they can have it can be in the context that they're comfortable with or that they're curious about or something, right? When you think about it, like when we study history, for example, why do we have to study it so linear, like in a linear fashion, right? Why does everybody have to study the same thing? Instead of going by dates, what if you taught history by concepts? Let's just study revolutions, right? And then students in the classroom can all pick a different revolution that they're interested in based on whatever they're curious about, right? Even to the point where they can be from like science fiction books. It can be something in the future. The idea is you're teaching the concept of revolution and how humans come about revolutions or what happens as a result of revolutions, right? And then each student is kind of on their own, their own timeline, if you will. But you can still teach the same lesson, right? If that makes sense for how to teach to the standards.
I agree. I think that would be a great way to approach it. I know that in some schools and some districts, I know that from not particularly the one I'm in, but I've seen that they go by, this is the curriculum and this is the text that the ELA instructional technologist picked out, and so that's what everyone needs to use across the board, across the district, and it kind of deters the teacher from saying, hey, why don't we do it? If we're teaching 1 + 1 is 2, then there's a couple different ways that we can do it, and why not give it a way that's going to be more meaningful for the student? Because that's how they're going to remember it. They're going to remember that. They're not going to remember that text that you forced them. They're going to remember that one that they wanted to read. I agree. Very cool. So how do we get that message out?
I was going to add to that.
To the higher ups.
I was going to add to that and say that it's a really cool thing when the students themselves become the experts, because I've had a number of students, no matter what their grade, what grade level, who are above and beyond where everybody else is, and sometimes those students are not the best students to explain to other students how to do something because they're so far ahead of them. But it's often interesting to let the kids actually be the experts on whatever topic you're teaching.
And that's also kind of like what I do with What If when I work with schools. There's always this speaking component. I think during the conversation earlier there was a lot about just like communication, right? And it's interesting the way education's evolved. That right now, perhaps one of the most important things, we should be teaching is communication. How do we communicate? How do we collaborate both physically and digitally, right? So being able to make sure that these projects or this learning, there's also a presentation part of it that they share with the rest of the classroom, which does exactly what you're saying. One, it allows the students to be the experts, but then by sharing with the rest of the class, they all get to share in each other's learning. So even though they may be studying different parts of history, right, they all get a little. It's like a jigsaw activity, but.
That's the second time I heard that today.
Jigsaw
learning, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my ideas last year when I started my digital storytelling was to try and have my students actually have this, instead of me flipping the classroom, having them flip the classroom.
Right.
So I'm going to work on developing that a little bit more too.
Mm-hmm. And I also like kind of flipping this. I'm trying to think if I can explain this in a really concise way, but also just kind of going back to standards, just flipping the entire way we approach things again, right? So if there are specific things that, like for example, the history lesson, right? The example I gave, I realize that there may be but according to the standards or on the test, students are going to be tested on U.S. history between this date and that date, right? Well, even if that's true, what we find is that if you still let them, just study their own and get, on their own track and just, learn. Once you get them to that point where they're deep into their own learning, you can then, it's funny, it's kind of science fiction. It's almost like opening their head and just pouring in whatever you want. They're so primed for learning whatever's on that subject because they're curious about it, that once you give them the time to explore and to get in and to really unleash that energy, then you can dump in whatever you want them to learn, whatever they previously weren't interested in or wouldn't have been, curious about, right? You get this little moment where they're so kind of jazzed up in their own learning, they don't even realize they're now learning. It's almost like reverse psychology, right? And it's a little fun way to get those standards in there kind of at the end. Well, I'll tell you what. I think we're winding down. We're getting close. If there's any other questions or we have, I think I'm trying to find out over here. I see where the questions and answers are. But I want to make sure I close this up at 10 o'clock. I do have to run after this. But I want to thank you for participating and sharing your thoughts and everything else. And I'd love to stay connected with both with not just both of you, but everybody else who's following along. To carry the conversation on, and as much trouble as I had with this, believe it or not, I actually do Google Hangouts quite a bit. So I'm happy to chat or connect with anybody beyond today, and then just thank everybody for being a part of this. So I hope everybody has a great rest of the EdCamp Global, and yeah, thanks again. So.
Thank you so much. It was really good. What's the name of your book that you're reading?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. It's the book of I'm such a bad the book of what if. So or what if.
Very cool. Very cool. I'll definitely check it out.
It's just a bunch of questions.
Very cool.
What if there's a book that didn't tell you how to think and there's no answers in it? Just questions to spur other thoughts. So.
Thank you for sharing.
Definitely check it out. Thank you.
Thank you both for being good teachers out there. So, thanks.